Have you ever grabbed a shopping bag and your tennis elbow is so bad that it just hurts by just doing this, holding a bag full of light groceries? I mean, there's not even a gallon of milk in here, and my arm is killing me, right? I have, right? And for those of you who think this dampener is going to prevent that, and your pain will leave just like the Raiders will, that ain't gonna happen, because just like the Raiders the first time, they coming back, and so will your pain. Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today we're going to be talking about tennis elbow. What are the causes? What are some of the remedies for it? We're going to talk about the braces, what's the best racket, what's the best string, and at the end of the day, what would be best for the individuals that have tennis elbow. So we're going to start by asking what are the causes of tennis elbow. Well, if you define tennis elbow and you look it up online, is exactly what it is. It states that it's caused by a repetitious motion, something that you're constantly doing over and over again, causing an inflammation, soreness in a tendon or a muscle. And in this case, it's in your forearm area, usually right here. I know sometimes it can deviate down to here, which is right where your actual elbow is, but it's usually forearm down to here. Now, sometimes it can be down here, and they call that golfer's elbow, and that's on the underside of it. But most tennis elbow is here down to that elbow. Now, causes of tennis elbow. Most of the time, my first question is, do you have a one-handed backhand? If the answer is yes, do you slice your one-handed backhand? If the answer is yes, I say, are you chopping it? Is your motion like a chopping motion, like you're bending the elbow, straightening it out, and then chopping the ball like that? So you're basically, I call it hyperextending, because you're basically doing a violent motion, like chop, like, so you're bam, bam, straight, and then chopping the ball like that. So that going straight like that hyperextends that elbow. Now, if you see the pros, it looks like that's what they're doing. They're doing this, right? And then they're going like that, right? But they're not actually chopping it. They're either keeping it bent and coming through like that, so that the stroke comes through the shoulders, right? Not the elbow, not like that, right? That will kill your elbow. So if you have any pain here to here, that's what's causing it. Now, to remedy that, either go straight like that and then have the motion go through, or keep it bent and have it go through. That makes sense? Okay. The second most common tennis elbow is on a serve. So if you serve and you come across your body like that, you probably don't have tennis elbow. If you do a Pete Sampras and go like this, right, and you come across, let's say, the right side of your right-handed, right, this motion will be causing hyperextension through that same area, that elbow right there. Okay? Now, so the remedy to that is try to come there and come across your body so it doesn't hyperextend this elbow. That's the two most common ones I've seen. Other forms of tennis elbow I've seen is just constantly hitting a forehand, kind of backing off and then swiping it like that. So everybody wants to be Nadal, okay? Nadal does this thing, right? So people are doing this, right? But they're doing it wrong. They're like that, or they're swatting at it. That's gonna hurt this part. That's gonna hurt this forearm part. So how to remedy that? Try to get balanced, right? Come through, hit off your, back foot into your front foot, come forward into it instead of swiping at it. All right? All right, so that's some of the root causes of tennis elbow. Or if you just play a lot. If you play 2-3 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week, you're probably overdoing it. All right, so let's start with braces. When I first started doing this many years ago, this was the only thing on the market that we sold. This is called the Aircast, and because it's called the Aircast, there's a signature bubble there, and that bubble tucks into here. Oh wow, I didn't know it was velcroed in there like that. So it tucks into here, you put it around, and the bubble goes here like that at your forearm, and then you tightened it up. So this was kind of the only thing out, except for like a basic strap that didn't have the bubble. So basically the marketing was the bubble. And so when you struck the ball, the vibration coming through the forearm, the bubble would alleviate. That was the whole premise behind the marketing. And we sold a ton of these because it pretty much was the only thing on the market. Still exists today. Then came the Bandit. No bubble, but neoprene in here. Soft material. Pretty much the same concept. You put it here, it holds down the tendon, extensor muscle, so you don't feel that soreness when you're playing tennis. Then we have this Victory Band that came out about 10 years ago. The inventor partnered with a prosthetics guy out of Stanford to create the shape of the V here. As you can see inside, it actually sticks out right there to push down on what is a V that creates when you grip something. So you see that line right there? So that one side of the V is supposed to go there and the other side is supposed to go there. That's why the V is here, like that. So again, all of these go underneath the bend, and they all do pretty much the same thing. This one is a little unique in that it is stretchy, it is elastic. These aren't elastic, but the neoprene helps to pad, soften up the pad, and then obviously the bubble. So they all do the same thing and they all work. We sell a lot more of these just because of the elastic, and you can't really over tighten it. Now, this is what Milos Raonic calls his insurance policy. As you see, when you see him play, he usually always has one on. When he was asked, why do you always wear a sleeve on your arm? He says, well, it's my insurance policy. It basically helps, stabilize his muscles. It just feels like he needs it. He feels good when he has it on. I don't think it really does anything. If he's going to break his arm on the court, this isn't going to help. It might hold it together, but that's about it. But if you've ever used one of these, and I have, when I had my tennis elbow, it does work. Now, this is probably the best brand out. It's called 2XU. And it's, when they knitted this out, they actually didn't just made it smaller and you just put it on and the whole thing just compresses down on you. The way it's stitched and the way they shaped it out with the different variations of stitching works. So as you see, it's actually bigger at your forearm here, bigger as it gets higher into your arm, it gets thicker, and then on the bottom it's thinner at your wrist. So when I get this on, or It's basically, you know, see how long that is? So it covers up the whole arm almost. Like, I have short arms, so when this is all said and done, it actually comes up to there, right below where I bend my, you know, bend my shoulder here, my armpit. But when I had tennis elbow, I put this on every day, and I left it on. The only time I took it off was when I took a shower, and I put it right back on afterwards. For 3 weeks, I laid off the court. I didn't play for 3 weeks. When you put this on, or when I put this on, I did feel the tingling sensation through here. So that was the blood circulating through my arm. I mean, if you guys have ever tried this, you know what I'm talking about. And this is the best one, 2XU. I started off with a large, and it was too easy to get on. If it's too easy to get on, you're probably not getting the right compression. I switched to a medium. It was a lot harder to get on, but I definitely felt better for it. So give that a try. Now let's go into rackets here. At least once a month, like, we have these local doctors that tell the tennis players, you need to get a more flexible racket. So we are like searching, the customer is searching for a low stiff racket, a low stiff numbered racket. So that RA number, the stiffness rating, gotta be like in the low 60s, possibly high 50s, if that even exists anymore. Now, rackets of choice that doctors suggest is like a Blade, you know, or Prestige, something that is in that low 60s range that's super flexible. Now, these work if you're of that caliber of player. Let's say you are already using a pro staff, or something that's, you know, this soft or flexible. Like, making a person that's a 3.5 who plays with a pure drive go to a Blade, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, which I do see. I mean, the doctors are just telling you what they know, and how they see things, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, if you were to go from a pure drive to a Blade, we would have to compensate for the power by stringing it at I don't know, 35 pounds or 30 pounds, just to give you some of the power that you're lacking. So unless you really want to go by that, but I don't recommend that. I've had little old ladies come in saying they need a flexible racket, and they're using, you know, a big racket. They're using like one of these, right? So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, the game changer in all this, in the rackets, is the Clash. So this has a very, very low stiffness rating. The whole racket is flexible. We string it loose, and that's good for your arm. So in terms of rackets, I think this is the winner if you have tennis elbow. Just remember to string it loose, possibly with natural gut or some kind of a natural gut blend. No more than 44, 45 pounds. Lower the better. Now, going back to the doctor that said get a flexible racket. Well, what about, my philosophy would be, what about getting a stiffer racket? You know, one that, you know, if you think about it, if you get a flexible racket, you got to hit harder. You got to swing harder to generate the same amount of power, right? But if you're not this caliber of player, what about getting something that's more powerful? Something like this. I mean, you may not be this type of player, but what I'm saying on an overview is, why not get something that's more powerful, stiffer, right? Look at the difference there. And string it looser, right? Let the strings and let the racket absorb the strain. I mean, does that make sense to you? Right? Let's say you're swinging through. You got to hit the ball for the ball to come off on this one. Whereas if you string it loose with a stiff racket, the strings will absorb everything, right? And then catapult the ball out of there without much, vibration or strain to your arm, right? Tell me if that makes sense to you, right? A couple other rackets that I recommend are these two Wilsons. Now, this technology has been around for, oh my gosh, probably 15 years. When these first came out, they were called triads. Now, why these rackets? Well, these rackets aren't continuously one piece. So they're held together by some pads here and here. So this hoop is connected with some pads here, and these pads help to dampen every shot. So when they put this on the stiffness rating counter, when they bent it, they saw that this part, these two sides bent a lot, therefore causing less strain on you. So these are both, I highly recommend both of these rackets if you have any kind of tennis elbow. If you can handle them. These are on the powerful side, more so this one, the XP3, than the 5. I mean, the 5 is still 103 square inches. So definitely recommend these. If not, go for the Clash. If you can handle the power on something like this, this is great. I mean, I sell a ton of these to people who have tennis elbow. They're on the older side, obviously, but the technology that this has, they basically unhinged the sides here and just have it connected through the center post, right? What that does is it makes this flexible, like this piece is flexible, and it basically elongates that main that comes down to here, and then extends it down to here, causing it to have a little more power and absorption. And without it being held on here, it just kind of allowed this to free flow a little more. So there's no vibration coming down the sides either. So this was a great thought on vocals process. So I sell a ton of these, and it's super light. So this thing is 9 ounces, but head heavy. So that's the other thing. The commonality of some of these elbow friendly rackets is, like, you can see that one's 3 points head heavy, right? Again, on the 5, 3 points head heavy, right? So the lighter the racket, the head heavier it is. Or else, if they made these things head light, you would probably get tennis elbow, because every time you swing and you connect, right, if it's not head heavy, you would feel the shock, you would feel the vibration. So that's why when you go lighter, all the weight gets balanced more at the top. So stringing at a low tension will definitely relieve the pain in your elbow. Now, I hear every day, well, I can't control it at a low tension. Well, it's either do that or you'll be off the court. So you'll have to learn to stroke the ball with control and get used to a little bit of power, or you'll probably be not playing for a while. So brush up on the ball a little bit more, hit through it, make sure that ball dives down into the court, okay? All the pros are doing it. I mean, I did Jack Sock's racket at 30 pounds. So if he can control that ball at 30 pounds, I'm sure you can. In terms of strings, the best string you can get for tennis elbow is natural gut. So that's the softest string on the market. Softest, most powerful, best feeling string on the market. So if you can do it, put this on your racket first and see if that works, and put it at a low tension. Now, other strings, if you don't want to do natural gut, my second favorite is this Technofiber X1 biphase. So this is like a man-made gut. So it's not a natural fiber, it's a synthetic fiber, but it's super soft. I mean, nothing will be as soft as this, but this is, kind of a distant second. But try this if you've never tried it before. Now, this is like a distant third. So that's a good all-around soft, multi-filament synthetic gut. These are just my suggestions. I'm sure if you ask 10 people, you'll get 10 different answers on all this, except for maybe this, and maybe this, and maybe the Technofiber. All right? So anywhere from that on down, you are going to get 10 different answers on 10 different people. So just my answers. Now, if you have to have poly, you're just used to poly and you have to have it, Luxilon Smart, probably the softest poly on the market. I'm sure you guys will say Diadem or something else that I've never heard of. So, but from what just from what I know, this is one of the softest ones. Or go with a super thin poly like that. It's a Luxilon Ace, and it's super thin at 112 millimeters. Sometimes all you need is just a little lead. So something like this added to the top of your racket can definitely help your elbow also. So if you're one of those people who play with a headlight racket, this can be your remedy. I've told you guys, this thing's 10 points headlight before strings. I play with a Clash Pro, and I put lead in my racket, because this thing is so headlight and it goes through so fast. For some of you, that causes tennis elbow. Take some lead, and so you could start by adding 6 grommet holes worth of lead to both sides of the racket at 3 and 9 o'clock, like where my thumbs are, right? So kind of measure out 6 holes, like from here to here, and then put a 1/4 of an inch thickness on one side, 1/4 of an inch thickness on the other side. So on both sides, here, 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 and here. Now start there. See if that works for you. So your first reaction is going to be like, oh, this doesn't feel right. It's too heavy in the head. Try it first. Give it 30 minutes to an hour. Let your muscle memory get antiquated or get used to the weight, and then see how you feel. Like, don't just put it down because it's just too heavy, because that's what happened to most people. It's like, oh, it's too heavy, it doesn't feel right anymore. Let your muscle memory adjust. Let your muscle memory adjust to what it's feeling. Now, if you're like me, I got addicted to lead. So after that, I added some to the top. Now you can do either 4 grommet holes or 6 grommet holes more to the top, and that'll definitely help you. The lead adding the weight to the head will definitely help the ball impact not affect your elbow so much. So try that. That's a simple remedy. Just get a packet of these. It's like $5, and then it's a sticker of lead, and it's easy to put on. I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure you guys already do it. But for those of you who don't know, give it a try. So at the end of the day, we're all tennis players. We all want to be playing, right? So try a bunch of this stuff. I mean, try all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Try changing out your racket. Let's say grab this clash that suits you best, right? Try the gut with it. Try the gut with it, right? Try the gut with it. Use Milosh's insurance policy that he calls these elbow sleeves. Put that on when you play, right? Let's try a combination of this stuff. Try that CPD cream, right? Try this all together. See if that works for you. Take a lesson. You know, maybe we can remedy that backhand, remedy that serve. You know, get you off your back foot on your forehand. You know, if none of that works, this is what you do. You take your cute little Cinda B bag, right? You put it all in there, just like this. And you take a break from tennis, right? Thanks for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.